Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Seasonal Soul Sisters Circle, where we get together to check in with the energetic support for the season. I'm so grateful for those who can hold it down live with me. We are looking at the seasonal shift here. Now, we have the 8 sacred seasons. Winter, spring, summer, fall, everyone's pretty familiar with. What we're honoring tonight is one of the gates of power, which is the midpoint between winter, spring, summer, fall. Here we're at the Taurus May gate of power, and this is when spring really starts to pop. And so anything that we've been cultivating and developing with our ideas for the year of 2024, this is when it's going to start to get activated and come to life. So thinking about fertility and conception, community, getting together, being outside under the sky. Y'all, I got 35-mile-an-hour winds. We couldn't do it. Oh, y'all's at my door. I just said hi, made some offerings, like, please don't destroy anything on the property. We good. It is really crazy. Sacred union comes up at this time. Gifts in abundance, celebration of sexuality and sensuality, really important at this time because everything is coming to life. So we want to focus on life. There is the life, death, life cycle, right? So there's that life on both ends, right? We go through it, we let go, and we rebirth. And we're in kind of a birthing phase here. Freedom and responsibility come up, new bonds and attachments, ripening, blossoming, and fruition. So just knowing what time it is with the seasons can be very useful. And I've got a lot of the element students in here in addition to my community. Welcome, welcome, y'all. This is the seasonal shift, so I want to lay a little groundwork with that rhythm because I like to teach people the rhythm so that instead of worrying about clocks and calendars, you're thinking about what time is it in the season, in the moon cycle, in the earth cycle. Where are we at in terms of what time it is in daylight or in darkness? How are we looking at where we're at and what is the energy support? So we have winter, spring, summer, fall, which is ruled by Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn. It's a very dynamic time. There's lots of movement and change and choices and decisions that we have to go through when those signs are activated. And most of us are pretty conditioned to that winter, spring, summer, fall rhythm. Now, what I want you to start considering is that the month before the seasonal shift, that is always Gemini, Sag, and Virgo, Pisces time, which is time to do your processing. Okay, Virgos are physical processing, your physical systems. We have so many dynamic systems in our body that work on their own, but they also have to work as a cohesive whole to operate our body, right? It's a very complex system. That's Virgo's world. That is the energy of processing how much your system can actually handle. Pisces is your emotional processing, and again, with how much you can actually handle, but we usually check in with our boundaries at that time. And then Sag is when we are processing everything that we've been through. That's in December time for the year. And we determine what we believe actually happened and we tell a story with it. So we're processing, trying to get that higher truth out of whatever activities we went through for the entire year. And Gemini is processing the information, your mental processing, which is why we need periodic mental breaks. And Mercury rules Gemini. It goes backwards 3 to 4 times a year. That gives us 3 to 4 times a year to do a mental body check-in. So if we do our processing before winter, spring, summer, fall, and we actually go through our lives for the last quarter and think about what we're doing, when we go to make those choices and decisions that the seasonal shifts are activating, we're much more clear because we've done our processing. So if you do your processing and then you make your choices and decisions, that means the month after winter, spring, summer, fall, which is always ruled by Taurus, Scorpio, and Leo, Aquarius, we are either going to anchor something permanently because we're initiating, we've made some choices and decisions and there's some new beginnings, or we're going to release permanently because we made some choices and decisions and certain things aren't going forward in the new cycle. So the rhythm becomes process, choose, anchor. Process, choose, anchor. And then you can start to feel in your body, what time is it? Is it time for me to be doing my processing? Is it time for me to be doing my choices and decisions? Or is it time for me to be anchoring or releasing? Now we're in Taurus zone, so we're anchoring and releasing a little bit here because we're bringing things to life, but we're also looking at what seeds are not popping yet and that we don't necessarily want to invest more time and resources in. We want to see what's actually coming to life and feeling like it can sustain itself and that it's going to get some roots under there, right? So this is what time it is. Now, if you look at the last couple of months, what you've been through, we've been through a Mercury retrograde, so we did some processing. And now we've come through the Aries time, which had a whole lot of extra juju going on there that activated a whole new identity, path, and purpose for pretty much everyone in some department of your life. And so we're initiating with all that Aries energy. Now we've moved into Taurus. It's what are we going to anchor or what are we going to clear out of here because it doesn't reflect your identity, path, or purpose anymore, right? So think about these things as they are developing, as the year unfolds and things like that. The chart gives us our sky council. This is really deep because almost everyone is below the horizon, which means it's a very personal time right now. You all should be thinking about your own personal security needs and your essential needs, food, sex, and money, Taurus things, right? And you want to be thinking about your community needs and how much other people you need and what you're anchoring, what you're bringing to life, and what you want to sustain and protect going forward, right? Because whatever seeds do pop, then you're going to be responsible for their development and cultivation as we go forward. This personal energy that is happening up in the sky is pushing us to, one, develop a stronger connection system, however you want to put it, relationship with your invisible team, with your spirit team, your, what I said earlier, the angels, Orisha, Anima, spirit guides, your ancestors. All of that is your invisible team, and they're much more available than your human people. Okay, humans are all going through it right now. They are unavailable for consultation. So you can rely on your spirit team. They will never let you down. We have this energy from Saturn and Pisces, which is once in 30 years, and Neptune's there, and they're really close together. Well, they're not really close, but they're close enough. They're in the same house, and they're activating some things within us that say, if you can create your own sanctuary at home, whatever it takes to make you feel safe and know that your boundaries and your little area is okay. Your corner of the world is straight the way you need it to protect and sustain you. So those creature comforts and personal security things are all up for renewal and rebirth. And anything that you're kind of holding on to over long, we want to look at that too and let go of some certain things. So activating or anchoring or developing and cultivating your relationship with your spirit team, the energies really support that. Moon and Mars are together in Aries, also in the 4th house. So we're looking at certain things that you have to do around your self-care that you have to do yourself. Yes, we can have assistants and massage therapists and healers and things like that, but you need to be proactive in this way of kind of restoring your energy right now. Because you've called in this new identity, path, and purpose, you need to also be developing the rhythm and routine and the things that go on at home that support that new identity. So thinking about those things as being very personal. Moon and Mars is personal. That's how you feel and how you want to make choices and actions and make moves in the world. And Mars takes 2 years to get back to Aries. So in a lot of ways, social collective level is activating a whole new 2-year cycle as well, just giving that Aries new energy, fresh beginnings kind of thing we need to think about. But because it's falling in the 4th house of home and sacred space and your personal life, your private life, this is where we go to recharge our battery. So that's why it needs to reflect your spirit team, and it needs to have really good boundaries that protect you, and it needs to be the place where you can recharge and where there's not a lot of drama and trauma going on there too. And then the stronger Aries is moved into the 5th house. So again, with this creativity and blossoming, activating energy that's coming in, where you get to express, you're basically presenting a whole new you, right? There's a new presentation trying to be born through you that got activated about 10 months ago. We're going to talk about some Venus energy soon. Now it's here. It's like we've been developing, thinking about it, talking about it, working on it behind the scenes. And now it's being activated to really start. You need to embody it. You need to walk your truth, walk in the truth of your own journey. And we're supported once in 20 years to choose this new life path and direction. We're supported for the reset of our mindset around our identity and purpose, rethinking that in all kinds of ways because Mercury lingered in Aries, but now it's going forward and we're in post shadow, we're moving on. And Chiron, who's only there once every 50 years, again, with the social collective healing, which I pray for, is that if the individuals get it together, the globe will be okay. So this Aries energy, there's so much to our healing, education, and soul work that we have to do ourselves. And I have a little quote that says, the purest form of self-love is doing your own healing, education, and soul work. No one else can do those things for you. And that is all very much our Aries department, where we want to do things ourselves and we need to learn by experience. No one can really tell you anything in the Aries Taurus department, both of them really. And then all that Taurus that you do is in the 6th house of daily rhythms and routine, your body and health, and again, how much your system can actually handle. So now if we're rebirthing new creative projects or activating new relationships on whatever level, personal or professional, we're beautifying the environment or just upgrading our systems in whatever way that we can, we are supported to do that as long as we are thinking beautiful, sustainable. We want it to be beautiful and sustainable. It also needs to make sense because you're calling in something bigger. There's bigger energies in Taurus right now. Many of you have probably heard about the Jupiter-Uranus alignment. That is a 12-year cycle and an 84-year cycle lining up. I don't even know the math it takes to get them both there in Taurus. But they're both in Taurus, which is awakening some consciousness in all of us to be more mindful about being stewards of the earth, being connected to mama, being mindful and practical about how we use our resources and things. All of that has been activated to a new level where we've raised our frequency, hopefully, and we've raised our vibration and our consciousness so that we can call in basically a new existence, a new day-to-day in your body, on the ground existence. I'm not talking virtual reality. I'm not talking sock med, social media. I'm not into any of that, y'all. So I can't even advise you, but I do know that all this Taurus energy so rarely and coming together to wake us up in a certain way. With Uranus, if you fall back asleep, something's going to hurt. The spirit's going to come for you because you didn't keep it going. Like once we wake up, the idea is once you know better, you got to do better. So once you wake up to a certain level, slipping back into old patterns isn't a good idea. And Uranus is here to sort of break us of some of our attachments to material things and really recalibrating our values and priorities, like what's really important to you. I joke in my house, I'm all about the shelter. I'm a Cancer, so I care about the house, and my husband's a Taurus, so he cares about the food. So we got food and shelter covered between the two of us, and we ain't got to worry about those departments. But we're both super practical in that way as well. The basics, the essentials, my son might be on here. We joke the line in the house is do what you got to do so you can do what you want to do. And we want to enjoy the beauty and the sensuality and the good food and the quality sex and the connection, the soul connections, all the things that being in a body, it feels good about, right? That's Taurus's whole domain. We want to love being in a body. Now, if we're broke down and falling apart, that's not a fun body to be in. If we're on food and pharmaceuticals, kind of numbed out and dulled down, our senses can't be activated. We want our senses to be activated this season in a way where you're doing it on a daily basis, where there's just beauty on a daily basis. That's the other thing about that Taurus in the 6th house, is that we're trying to get that sustainable rhythm that takes care of our bodies and our needs, and also allows for that connection to Mother Earth and the simpler things in life, let's say. Okay, so there's a lot in here. Scorpio, 29 degrees Scorpio at that is ruling the chart, which means we are coming into a certain level of power. I want to reiterate about the fixed signs. Taurus, Scorpio, and Leo, Aquarius are all different aspects of self-love and self-worth that we all have to deal with. Those signs are somewhere in everybody's chart. If you have planets, it means you've got some lessons going on in those departments. But Taurus energy is that sense of comfort, again, in your body, but also in your environment. How comfortable are you? And knowing kind of your levels. So that self-worth, self-esteem, and self-value comes up in how you choose your clothing, your furniture, the things that you need around you to function, and what you feel like you're worth, and how much beauty you need around you. That's that Taurus self-love. Scorpio self-love has to do with power and how much we give our power away, how much we use our power, how do we channel our resources. Scorpio ends up making you tap into that aspect of self that knows that you came here to be a creative soul, not to be a worker bee in this weird machine of the monetary system. So we do in this world, in our world over here, me and Yeye's world, we do everything with spirit, and then earth and mama, everything else works out. But if you try to go at it from this systems angle, you're going to just trip up. That's not going to work. So stay in your body, stay in your right mind, be calling in that higher level. And let me see. The next thing I usually do is the energetic support. In our case, it's just 6 weeks, May 4th, all the way to summer solstice, June 20th, 22nd, around that end of June. We do have some things cooking. First of all, we have the Taurus Scorpio lunation, which we're in right now. And then we've got the Gemini Sag lunation. And the only reason I want to give you a little bit of a heads up is because when we get to summer solstice, we're going to have something that's called the lunar flip. And what that means is the rhythm that we've been in for the last 18 months has been the full moon preceding the new moon. And you all can testify, but in my experience and in my tracking, there's been a lot more endings in the last 18 months. And so now that's going to flip, and we're going to get 2 back-to-back Capricorn full moons, which means we're going to get a double dose of release energy in our Capricorn departments as we initiate in the Cancer department. So that means letting go of responsibilities that are really not yours, not over obligating yourself to people and projects and things like that, that may not be in alignment with your purpose, not feeling overly responsible for the family, trying to help people be more self-sufficient in the family. With Cancer Capricorn energy, I always tell people to treat business like a family and family like a business, meaning with your family, your bloodline, my DNA family anyway, I got super protocols, boundaries, rules. Don't talk to me about this, that, and if you don't want the truth, don't call me. So they know there's boundaries with my family, but you all get Cancer, Mama Wolf Kelly, where there's compassion, I extend latitude, and I'm the hostess with the mostest, right? The Cancer energy that loves just taking care of other people. I can apply that to business because you all commit to your self-care, your education and healing that we're all working on together here. So learning that balance with the Cancer Capricorn and knowing that that's coming and that we're going to get a recalibration after we do these 2 lunations. And what that means is then the rhythm's going to flip to the new moon preceding the full moon. And we'll have to plant our seeds and walk by faith. And what happens is we usually get to the full moon and see something we didn't know about. We didn't see it first. We didn't think about. And we have to adjust because whatever seeds we're planting, the full moon lights up an area we weren't considering. And we need to consider it in order for those seeds to pop. So the rhythm changes. And what I tell people is just know your rhythm, know your preference. I prefer the full moon first because I like to let go, clean up, plant seeds, and then walk away. And whatever works, works. And I don't have to think about it. But now, like I said, I'll be mindful because I'm in the rhythm that's not quite my preference. So I'm going to be a little more vigilant about paying attention to how my seeds are going at the full moon. And so that rhythm's going to shift. In order to shift that, I'm just saying, let's use the Taurus Scorpio and the Gemini Sag lunation to clear out and release, again, consciousness that no longer applies, the purpose that no longer applies, things that have run their course, let them go and be ready to tell a new story. And activating a new network, because again, if you're activating a new identity and purpose, then there's going to be a new network to support it too, a new community to support it as well. And Mercury will be done with this Aries movement as of the 15th of May, and it'll move through Taurus and Gemini during our 6 weeks. So the first thing to think about is that it just came through a retrograde. So if we've reset things in Aries, then the new beginning starts in Taurus, and that's where we are now. So this would be a time to be thinking about either your body and beauty and self-care, the things that are going on with you personally, or your creative babies, your projects, and the things that you're cultivating and developing. So think about those things and where your ideas, thoughts, and concepts are evolving, essentially because they've been reset. And then as that happens, it'll go forward into Mercury and Gemini's at home. That's when the ideas are really going to pop. You're going to start to see some new things that you couldn't see before because you had to let go of certain things. And so just know that this is going to be a pretty active mental time, but I want you to stay in your body with it, what we call a moving meditation, where you're engaged on both levels with the mind and the body. And then April 30th, Mars moves into Aries. So where are we now? We're on May 6th. Yeah, so it just moved into Aries. What I think I wanted to mention about this is that Mars is in its home placement in Aries and Venus is in her home placement in Taurus. So they're both in their power right now. They're both resetting new cycles too. So Mars, for our next 6 weeks, you want to think about it being at home. And again, getting engaged, getting fit, moving your body, however feels good. Don't be attached to pounds and anything else, any of the details. Just do things that move your body in a way that feels good, that makes you feel like yourself in a way that maybe we've neglected or put on the back burner for a while. As of June 8th, and we'll be getting together around June 20th, like I said, it'll move into Taurus. And that's when what you are initiating should start to show some promise with the foundation, let's say in early June. So just feel into that. Venus, like I said, is at home with Taurus here. And as she moves into Gemini, we're going to talk about that in a second. First things, May 23rd, Jupiter to Neptune. This is a big deal because they're both at 29 degrees. It only goes to 30, and it doesn't even really do that. It does 29, it goes to 0. So it's at the end. They're both at the end of some very powerful cycle. Jupiter's a 12-year cycle. It moves in 3-year increments and rules our consciousness and what we believe to be true or possible. And it's been moving through Taurus, and it's about to hit Gemini. And right now it's linking up with Neptune, which rules our spirituality. And again, another level of our beliefs and what we believe, but also has a lot to do with our boundaries. And that's in Pisces. And it's about to be done. Now, Neptune's a 165-year cycle that moves in 14-year increments. So as it's finishing Pisces, that's 165 years that it's about to initiate brand new in Aries very shortly. So this is a powerful connection before they both move on to do other things that couldn't happen. Like again, with the math, 12 years and 165. How do we add that up to get them in the same place at the same time? It's a lot. So just trust that what I've been looking at this alignment for was shifting our consciousness around our embodiment practices as well as our spiritual practices. There's been just constant reminders through these two from different angles, from different reasons, in different ways, asking us to be better about our embodiment and the environment, as well as, again, relying more on our spirit team than humans who are going through it right now. So this is our consciousness and beliefs getting an upgrade May 23rd. When I give you these dates, and especially for new people that are dropping in, it is what I call a prayer day. And that's where you light a candle, put a glass of water, and you write a petition about whatever those issues are. And you can tune into my weekly forecast for specific details about these activations. What I want to do is just kind of give you the broad stroke of it. So on May 23rd, you might want to write a little petition about your consciousness and your beliefs and how they've evolved and what you're calling in with the next level in terms of possibly, one of the things I do is I have my higher self filter everything first. So if it ain't got nothing to do with me, a lot of times it doesn't even reach me. And I don't know anything about it. And it's a beautiful thing when you can rely on your higher self that way. And it's super creative for you artist people. Your artists, you all should be definitely writing a petition that day about your art. And in this case, also adding in there that if you are an artist, that you can sustain yourself and make a living with it, right? And that you are supported and protected because you are committed to your art and that it is just all connected. But it is all rooted in what you believe to be true or possible. So if there needs to be some cleanup there, then do what you got to do. 2 days later, Jupiter hits Gemini until June 9th of 2025. So that's, again, a 1 year and 12-year process. So I'm going to do a specific call on that on June 6th. This month, we're going to do Venus and the Sun contact. But first things first, as Jupiter hits Gemini, Pluto just got to Aquarius. So this is air energy. So again, we're mental, consciousness, what you believe to be true or possible, and what's transforming in terms of your unique contribution and the communities to which you belong and your future kind of big dreams, right? So there's this ease and grace between them, meaning that transformation is a little easier and less painful than Pluto usually is because your consciousness is shifted. So let's look at the date of June 2nd for that trine, ease and grace for transforming your consciousness. You might want to, again, light a candle, get a glass of water, write out a petition of how you're ready to change the way you interact with others, because Gemini has a lot to do with your friends and your networks and your people. So that's evolving. Again, as your consciousness evolves, as the things that you're interested evolve, then the people that you interact with is going to change too. That is once in 12 years infusion to our Gemini department. So there's going to be some improvements and some expansions and some blessings things because Jupiter always brings it. And that's a beautiful thing, but you still want to remember what I said earlier about Gemini, Sag, Virgo, Pisces, processing. So you're going to be doing a lot of mental processing, a lot of working with your consciousness and your beliefs. You know, those people and networks and new people that you're crossing paths with are probably going to reveal some things. You'll get your buttons pushed. You'll realize some things. You'll learn some other perspectives. It's not a bad thing, but you got to be prepared for your mind and your consciousness to change in a big way over the next year because of where Jupiter is. And so the way I teach Jupiter is it's 12-year cycle, moves in 3-year increments. It's very close to our Western culture educational system of 1st grade to 12th grade. So you learn something every year, but you stack 3 years together and your consciousness shifts. And so looking at your consciousness every 3 years, 3, 6, 9, 12 is the cycle you get used to. Everybody's got their own Jupiter cycle, and then we've got the Jupiter cycle up in the sky, which is where we are with this one moving into Gemini. So that's going to be a big shift. And you can think back to 2012, 13 and feel into that energy. What was happening? How was your consciousness being expanded back then? What were you learning? What kind of classes were you taking? Same thing. We're going to really go deep into that. Certifications, all the things you want to learn. Jupiter is going to make it easy this year. So between 24 and 25. That is amazing. Let's see, entering Gemini, hitting Pluto, and now Venus, June 4th. June 4th is the day Venus and Sun meet up in Gemini and the reclamation side of the cycle begins. So I'm doing another free community call on Thursday, the 9th. We're going to cover the Venus midpoint. That is going to allow us to check in. Whether you've been with us or not, the last 10 months, Venus has been in a release process and she's been moving through the morning star energy. So you would see her maybe at the crack of dawn if you get up really early. I'm not a morning person unless I stay up late. So I'm looking forward to her because right now she's with the sun, which means she's gone to the underworld. She's disappeared from the sky. We cannot see her. And she's going to come back in July as the evening star. And then we'll be able to see her at sunset. And when I have the fire ceremonies outside, you will see her and Jupiter as they rise. It's going to be powerful. So we create a relationship with Venus. I have a workbook and a guide that will cover you and your personal activations all the way through March of 2025, which is when her cycle will reboot and I'll make a new book. So we'll talk about that on the 9th. What we need to think about tonight is just on the 4th, think about writing a petition if you're into this, into prayer days. Then again, you're thinking about your outer presentation. You're thinking about how much you've released in your Leo department, which is what this Venus cycle is all about and why we were getting reconnected to our heart and what we care about, what we're passionate about. And you sort of realize probably over the last year, if you don't care or if it's not really activating your heart, you probably didn't do it. You probably didn't commit. And that if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. I'll never counsel you any other way. But this is an activation that clearing and letting go of self-love, self-worth issues, that shedding of a skin where you're presenting yourself in a new and different way. Let's see, what else did we do? We focused a lot on the love life and we're going to continue to in the reclamation side. I think I saw Cinnamon on here. She's been coming root to crown and she's going to come back to with us crown to root to bring in the Mars piece because I've worked really hard all these years to try to bring these two together. But the Leo cycle, the one we're in right now with Venus, and Venus rules our relationships and finances and what we really care about, has gotten an upgrade. And there's been a big focus on people's love lives and how that's going. So if you've cleared a lot of stuff out, now she gets with Gemini, and that's what allows us to expand our networks and our people and go in new directions. And what I told people along the way was that if we were good about it over the last 10 months, and we actually did let go of self-love and self-value and self-worth issues, then we're ready to meet new people. We're ready to go out and play. We're ready to lighten up with Gemini energy and kick it and have some fun. But if you didn't, and you don't feel good about yourself and your presentation isn't what you want it to be, and you're not feeling very creative and you're working on you're still working on your self-love, self-worth issues, then communication and dealing with other people and activating new networks is going to be hard. So let's look at that and see how far you've come and give yourself credit where credit is due, okay? And really look at how you've changed, who you are and what you want on fundamental levels. So what you're presenting to the world is changing too. And then the last activation in our energetic support is Mars and Taurus squaring off with Pluto and Aquarius. Now, this was interesting too. So Right now, Venus and Mars are going to flip places. They're going to have one challenge and one blessing and opportunity with Pluto. But either way, they're mixing it up with Pluto a lot right now. That means that our masculine feminine dynamics are being transformed on multiple levels. And some of it has to do with the squares, meaning we have to change, grow, get out of comfort zone into new territory or do something different. And these trines and sextiles are more ease and grace and opportunities. So just knowing what's coming up. In this case, it's the masculine challenge to grow out of comfort zone right now, change something, do something differently. Now, I define masculine as the part of you that negotiates on your own behalf, gets your ideas in the world, and holds good boundaries. So that is what we are working on changing, right? That's what we want to do differently. That's what we want to look at how it's run its course for the last 10 months, the last 18 months, year and a half, last 8 years, because Venus is also the 8-year cycle. So I tell people we shift our values in small ways every 18 months when she retrogrades, and that's personal, and we shift. But every 8 years, she goes back to Leo, like she did last year, every 8 years, and we have to upgrade our presentation and what we care about and look at things in a new way. And so while Venus is in Gemini, she's in a good, easy transformation of consciousness with Pluto. But Mars is in the body going, oh, my daily routine isn't working for me and I need to do things a different way, or I need to work on my food, sex, and money, or whatever it may be. Know that you just have to shift with Mars, your choices and actions is what that ends up coming to. So let's take a little quick pause because we have Animal Guide, the divinations, and a drum journey, and we're good. All right. Now we have our animal guide is buffalo for the month of May. Anyway, wolf will be in June. We love this little combo. But our housekeeping is around cultivating health, wealth, beauty, or sustainability, which I've already pretty much touched on. But think about the cultivating and developing part of that. We're composting, giving away our power, and we're seeding new values and priorities. So what do you really care about now? And another thing I do with Venus when I'm training folks is that when you tap into the cycles or the rhythm of nature, the seasons and the things I've been talking about, it's easier to go to your partner or go to your friends or go to your colleagues and have conversations that say, you know, we're in a new cycle. Can we do it a new way? Let's not make anyone good, bad, right, or wrong. I'm just not attracted to that anymore. I'm not into that. I want to do it a different way. And then it opens a dialogue where everybody gets a vote and it's a little easier on relationships, let's just say. In the classroom for Buffalo, if you all choose to do that, I'll make sure you guys have links. The prayers are around self-worth, endurance, and stability. The journal prompts are around diversity, beauty, and sensuality. These are all Taurus issues. And the Mad Libs, which are kind of fill in the blanks, are about self-awareness, self-value, and self-knowledge. Because again, if we're activating new identity, paths, and purpose, you know, there's going to be some new things to adapt to accommodate, to create space for that you need to do right now this month and you know, over the next 6 weeks, let's say. All right. Now the divinations. What we do with the divinations at the seasonal shift is that I have a reading, a PDF reading for every seasonal shift there is. Our gate of power reading is around what we need to purify, heal, restore, and fortify. So let me talk about that real quick. Hold on. So that order is in that order for a reason. When we are moving through life, and let's say we get stopped in our tracks or we do have something go on that we need to purify. So it usually means cleanse and purify first, and then you can heal. And then there's a process to healing. You heal, you do what you got to do to get that done. Once you're healed, then you do a restoration. You don't just jump out there the minute you're healed. You've got to restore your energy, your strength, your mind, body, and spirit, all of it, right? So restoration has to happen. Then you fortify. Then you build strength, right? So at the gates of power, very often we're checking in at the midpoint between our spring seeds and what we hope is blossoming by summer solstice. This is what we got for the community reading, which is in the structure that you would get if you ordered your own, that you can get in a PDF, MP3, or you can get an appointment with me, whatever you want. But most people do the PDF and I pull cards and I do that for you, specifically what you need to purify, heal, restore, or fortify. So you all can consider that too. But for the community, this is what I got when I went into meditation for this gate of power. I'm also using the Vision Quest Tarot and the Animal Wise Tarot. And what we're doing here is we're asking what needs to be purified, and then we're asking for an animal assistant to help us do that purification process, right?